Folks, I genuinely don't know what to tell you at this point. It's a War Doctor box set from Big Finish. Of course it's like a 10 out of 10. Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. TARDIS, once again reporting from my hotel room as I'm away for work at the moment. And once again we're diving into the War Doctor range from Big Finish with The War Doctor Rises Fallen Heroes, written by Alfie Shaw. As you folks may be aware, Alfie Shaw was basically the showrunner of the 11th Doctor Chronicles from Big Finish, which saw Jacob Duderman as the 11th Doctor, paired up with Safia Aingar's Valerie Lockwood as a companion, and it was some of the best Big Finish that we've had over the past few years. So when it was announced that Alfie Shaw would be writing a War Doctor box set, and the War Doctor range has consistently been one of my favourite ranges from Big Finish, like generally speaking, then yeah, I was excited. But then I heard about the premise and how it was going to be essentially from a distance from the Time War, no Daleks. I was kind of wondering what on earth is going on here. Even the cover is fascinating. It doesn't look like a War Doctor or Time War story, it looks like something from the X-Files, and that's very much by design. Because Fallen Heroes doesn't follow the Doctor and a companion, it follows Agent Wyatt Smith, played by Jonathan Carley, and Agent Louisa Tixon, played by Daisy Ashford. They're from the Galactic Investigations Bureau, and they've been sent to the planet Falk because a murder has been committed. You've got this small town of Oakview, where the mayor, Mortimer, has been murdered. His body is washed up on the beach, along with a bunch of sea life as well, and his limbs have been positioned in that of a clock face. However, it soon becomes apparent that a murder case is the last thing that Wyatt and Louisa need to be worried about. Like the other War Doctor Rises box sets, this is a full epic 3-hour adventure, split up into 3 parts, or 3 chapters. We've got Chapter 1, The Dead Sea, Chapter 2, Unit 26, and Chapter 3, Yesterday is Tomorrow and Tomorrow is Today. As Wyatt and Louisa investigate suspects, try to stop this killer from murdering again, and solving a mystery in Oakview's past which involves this strange enigmatic man called the Doctor, who looks a lot like Wyatt.
When did you last see your husband?
Last night, when we went to bed.
What time was that?
Definitely after sunset. I can't be more specific.
As in you can't remember?
As in I don't know. When I woke up this morning, he was gone. One of my deputies said they saw him heading toward the beach. I went to have words, but he was dead when I found him.
And can you recall what time that was?
No.
Great.
Sorry, Sheriff, but you know how it is. We have to ask. How would you describe your marriage?
Over. Here he is.
Oh, that's... I can see why you called us in.
Chat or Pat?
Pretty sure it's my turn for Pat.
Sorry, just a voice recorder.
We'll see.
A victim is an IC1 human male, approximately 50 years old. Bruising on the neck suggests he was strangled. A set of footprints, I'd say, a size 8s, lead to the body from the direction of the sea. Another set of footprints approach the body from the road.
They would be mine.
No other footprints in the vicinity, and no indication of the body being dragged.
The War Doctor Rises Fallen Heroes. It sort of defies description. There's no way to simply describe it as, oh, it's Doctor Who meets X-Files, it's Doctor Who meets Alan Wake, or Doctor Who meets Twin Peaks, or whatever. Yeah, that's a nice pithy way to describe the box set, but it still kind of feels like that's underselling it. Going back to Alfie Shaw, when he said he was offered the opportunity to write for the War Doctor range, he said he'd just come off of Victory of the Doctor, which is the 11th Doctor box set. You know, he was full of Daleks and intergalactic fights and stuff, and he thought, okay, I don't want to do that. So instead, he's essentially done War Doctor counter-programming. There's no Daleks in this box set. And I think there's some residual interest from a story from the Victory of the Doctor box set called Didn't You Kill My Mother, written by John Dorney, where the 11th Doctor and Valerie, they're not playing themselves, they're trying to sort out a legal dispute in this strange lawyer setting. And while Alfie Shaw didn't write that story, it kind of feels like there was some sort of like residual ideas that he's brought over to Fallen Heroes. Because Wyatt Smith and Louisa Tixon feel like fully fleshed out characters, and a big part of that is because Jonathan Carley and Daisy Ashford have brilliant chemistry with each other. It's incredibly dialogue heavy, the first 2 episodes of this box set, but they have a great rapport with each other, and you can tell that these are 2 detectives who have been working with each other for a long time, and they know each other's like personal demons, their own family histories and stuff. So when weird things start happening, like they get spaced out and they hear TV static, or when weird stuff starts playing on a nearby TV that only they can see, they're able to sort of recognize each other as having a mental break, and they're able to comfort and assist in that with each other. It's really interesting, the dynamic here. Wyatt Smith even has an estranged granddaughter called Susan who he refuses to call, and even though Wyatt Smith looks and sounds like the Doctor, he's not heard of Gallifrey. And I'll tell you this now real quick, this is no chameleon arch. That's way too simple and also far less interesting. The actual truth of what's going on in this review, you couldn't pay me to tell you, but the mystery and the way it unfolds is so metatextually enthralling. The closest thing to a spoiler that I will give, and it's not really a spoiler because it's on the cover, but it involves UNIT. And when you look at the casting of Daisy Ashford and also Christopher Naylor here in this story playing Alistair, who owns the local hotel and also competing with the murdered mayor at the next election, which makes him a prime suspect, when you look at those casting decisions, it's clearly trying to be some sort of riff on the UNIT family, because Christopher Naylor has played Harry Sullivan for Big Finish. Daisy Ashford, of course, has played her mother's role of Liz Shaw as well. There's a lot of fun, small contextual clues over the course of the first 2 episodes of this box set, almost to the point that when the Doctor inevitably does turn up, I'm surprised it wasn't Tim Treloar. But what's fascinating about Fallen Heroes, and they've touched upon this material in a similar way in Battlegrounds, is that it's taking a look at the War Doctor through the metatextual angle of him as a Doctor Who lead character. In the Battlegrounds box set in 2022, and I've just remembered, when I reviewed that box set, I was also in a hotel room for work. The opening story is The Keeper of Light by Phil Mulroy, and it's basically what if the War Doctor was in a traditional Doctor Who adventure. They even give him a traditional Doctor Who companion played by Emma Campbell-Jones. And Fallen Heroes is playing with similar material, but what if the War Doctor was in a 1970s UNIT family grounded story? But this isn't stagnation, this is building upon those foundations, and Alfie Shaw is metatextually analysing the Doctor's role in the UNIT family, and by proxy the War Doctor, who did have origins in the TV series by John Hurt of course, but now is predominantly an audio character, how the audio character of the War Doctor is going to war with Doctor Who, the TV character. You've got the motif of Wyatt and Louisa being interrupted every so often by TV static. They're having strange hallucinations when they see some of the TVs in the town, and some of the biggest inspirations in the genre that they're sort of adapting in Fallen Heroes are TV ones, True Detective, The X-Files, Twin Peaks. So it's like the War Doctor is going to war with the TV show. And the language of the War Doctor in the 3rd act of the story, in episode 3, frames the War Doctor as not putting the persona of the Doctor to bed or in stasis or anything, but that the Doctor as a character is a character who the War Doctor has effectively killed. Now, whether Alfie Shaw was given that brief from producers David Richardson or Matt Fitton, or whether Alfie Shaw came up with that characterization independently, either way, it's still fascinating. And this results in Jonathan Carley giving what I think is his best performance to date as the War Doctor. I feel like I keep saying that with every War Doctor and now War Doctor Rises box set, but Part 3 of the War Doctor Rises Fallen Heroes is genuinely the best that Jonathan Carley has ever been. And it's kind of superb as well from a writing perspective that the primary dramatic epicenter of these War Doctor stories and the War Doctor as a character is this incarnation's self-loathing. But despite it being, 12 box sets and change if you include other appearances in other stories, the self-loathing angle of the Doctor still doesn't feel played out, and in Fallen Heroes it feels fresh and new and interesting and fascinating again, which in and of itself is a feat, but I think it's because of the genre subversions that they're dealing with here.
Ooh, it looks like a diary. Bingo. This diary belongs to Henry Stewart.
Henry?
It's what it says. 9th of December. I don't know what to do. I'm certain the truth has been taken from us, and we'll never get it back. I can't ask the Doctor because he's a lie. The Brigadier, UNIT, they're all a lie, even me.
What does that mean? Henry became Joe, or Joe became Henry?
Listen to this. I wish I'd never worked it out. I wish I wasn't a lie. I can't look Mum in the eye. They've made a lie of her too. I've taken the camcorder from the lab just in case.
What do you reckon? Normal camera with missing evidence? Or one of the Doctor's reality-altering objects?
Can't rule either out.
I also can't see it here.
Well, we can add Joe/Henry to the suspect list.
Size 8s?
Size 8s.
I think the cast are brilliant. I think that the world building of Falk, despite it being a relatively small cast for the genre, there's still some really great idiosyncrasies in the town, like how they've gotten rid of all of the clock hands. Apparently a few years ago, the town took a vote and it was unanimously decided that, yeah, they're not going to tell time anymore. What's ultimately revealed to be in the sea that's causing the sea life to be killed, who the murderer is, the relationship with the victim, like, it's all so fascinating, and it is like Twin Peaks and True Detective, but with Doctor Who timey-wimey elements. And the murder mystery element, when you include Time Lords in the mix, like, I can't give anything away due to spoilers, but damn does Alfie Shaw love playing in the Time Lord sandbox. All culminating in a brilliant and enchanting Part 3, which is the closest that Fallen Heroes becomes to a conventional Doctor Who story, but I don't mean that as an insult. I mean that in, like, okay, now the story has evolved and all hell is breaking loose. Where you have the Doctor and the Warrior, and the Doctor is trying to force himself into the Warrior's story, and the Warrior is doing everything he can to stop that from happening, resulting in a haunting and bitter ending that just lays bare the War Doctor as a character and kind of makes you understand now in The Day of the Doctor by Stephen Moffat why his future incarnations hated him so much, and how the War Doctor is willingly taking the burden of the responsibilities, like the monologue that Jonathan Carley delivers at the end of Part 3, that shit's gonna stick with me. Like I said, cast superb, premise superb, production superb, structure superb. I am running out of superlatives for Fallen Heroes. I am in love with this story. My only caveat in regards to recommending Fallen Heroes is that don't start with this box set. In order to subvert the War Doctor in this box set like they do, you need the starting ground there. So if you're watching this review and for some reason you've not dove into the War Doctor range before, don't start with Fallen Heroes. But if you're someone who's been following the War Doctor range or has dipped in and out of it, then okay, great, go nuts. Fallen Heroes is a must listen. It is an unambiguous 10 out of 10 recommendation that I can't stop thinking about. There's one more War Doctor Rises set coming out later this year that currently we don't have any details on, but I want to know what Alfie Shaw does next, man. I can't wait to see what he does. But that was my review of Doctor Who, The War Doctor Rises, Fallen Heroes. What did you folks think of it? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button. It really, really helps me out and helps to support the channel. And folks, I'll see you all next time.